Hello. Welcome back to Trading Weekly. Once again, we are live for the first time this year. Kaye, how are you?
Well, first of all, happy New Year to everybody who's watching, and amazing feeling 2026. This will be what, our third year of live.
Yeah, third or fourth actually,
Third,
maybe
of
just
course, yeah,
maybe
exactly.
just yeah.
It's been a while. We have been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, I mean on YouTube I think it's been 2.5 years, but before that we were on X Spaces
Yeah,
or
true.
Twitter, I think back then it was. But yeah, no, it's been fun, really fun. 2025 was a good year. 2026 will be an even better year in my opinion. But yeah, if you've missed our picks for 2026, we've got a big video on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to it, watch it, whatever you want to do with it. At Trading Weekly, that's it actually, at Trading Weekly on YouTube. Obviously, we're a couple of guys looking at charts, giving our thoughts and perspectives on everything. So it's not financial advice, just kind of a bit of fun, really. We'd love to do it on a Sunday, don't we, Kay?
Absolutely. I think whether it's us or whether it's anybody else, whether it's all opinions. Everybody has an opinion. You take the opinion with a grain of salt, do your own research, and then make the move.
Exactly right. If we can kind of educate you in that kind of way as well, then obviously that's brilliant as well. Put your stock requests in the comments down below. We've had a few come in already, so make sure we get them in nice and early. We do appreciate them coming in early so we can get to them a little bit earlier for you. Probably get there in about 15, 20 minutes or so, I reckon, something like that. So just hang around if you do put them in the comment section, whether you're on X or YouTube or any other platform. But yeah, and obviously, lastly, thank you very much, Wolf Financial, for letting us use the platform. We really appreciate it. Go check them out on X. Just wonderful things for the community. Okay, let's get rid of the ticker down the bottom then. Let's jump into the slideshow, shall we? Okay.
Yeah, let's do this.
Oh, before we do that, how was your trading last week?
Well, trading was pretty good. I think focused on few tickers, not opening a lot of positions, trying to be more selective in trading, especially being the first full week of the year. Also, the earning season is going to kick it off.
Mm,
It's going to be very interesting. So I'm reserving some firepower for the earnings trades rather than go all in the beginning.
yeah, you do love an earnings trade, don't we?
Yeah.
On the stream today, you can see on the left screen. I'm not going to read through them all, but hopefully you kind of took note of what's going on today. Well, that'll be a new feature for us. And we've got obviously a few new graphics as well. So let us know in the comments if you do like the new graphics, the new look. Not completely overhauled, just a few tweaks here and there. Moving on to the second part of the stream, then obviously market overview last week was pretty good. I felt, quite green across the board, but you can see actually on the screen here there's a few negative names.
Hmm.
Apple being the main one, almost down 5%. You've got Tesla, which is behind you actually, so the viewers can't see it, but it's minus 2.79%, so a bit down. Even though Thursday, Friday, I think was pretty good, but maybe we can jump into the chart a little bit later on. Actually, yeah, we can write that one down. Okay, I want to jump into Tesla a bit later on.
Sure.
And obviously, we've got bigger names here. Obviously, Google and Amazon up 3% and almost 7% respectively. And obviously, the biggest stock in the world, Nvidia, down 2.62%. So, yeah, real mixed bag. I mean, but good to see Amazon, get that move finally, get that year started.
Listen, I still haven't published my 2025 2026 picks yet, but Amazon would be one of the ones which pretty much I think everybody knows, and I think seeing that 7% move, and also the upcoming earnings, if we really see a massive growth uptick in the AWS cloud, where the whole narrative is like, oh, they are behind the scene, they are behind the eight ball against Azure and Google Cloud. I think that might be the trigger point for Amazon to make that run. On the flip side, if they again show flattening growth or decline, it's gonna get shellacked again.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for sure. I'm not too sure when the earnings are, but it won't be too far away. Probably about 3, maybe 4 weeks away. So yeah, just be careful if you're trading around earnings, just generally, not just Amazon, of course. But we'll get to that probably closer towards the actual earnings season. We'll move on then to the fear and greed index, sitting nice and flat, kind of 51 once again. 1 week ago, obviously, we weren't here last week, but it was 44 last week, and a month ago, it was about 32. So it's kind of floating between kind of fear and neutral. But we're kind of experiencing new highs as well for the SPY. I'm not too sure about the QQQ. I don't think so, but the SPY is definitely at new all-time highs. So there's definitely room to go as well. I think within the kind of fear and greed index to maybe get to greed and extreme greed.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk to the points on the left there, okay?
Yeah. So put to call Pretty much we are in the same zone, 0.65 to zero point 0.7. There's not much going on. There's a little bit more hedging happening, but the VIX is pretty flat. VIX was 17, it went down to 14. SPY, as we already covered, was up percent. Same thing with QQQ. Upcoming events next week is going to be CPI, PPI, and there's one other event that I'm forgetting. I think there is going to be also. I, I don't know if we got the court ruling for the tariff yet. I think it's next week.
Okay, one to look out for sure. Maybe we can get some clarification on that before the end of the stream, Kay.
Yeah, let me take a look at it because I think we might get the decision next week whether it's valid or not. So based on that, and I think there would be a little bit more conversation going on with the latest tweet where Donald Trump has proposed a 10% cap on the interest rate for credit cards. So we may see some more movements next week, maybe more commentary from the banks and the credit card companies. We'll see about that, but listen, if you see a major reaction for Visa, Mastercards, and some of the other, the names, that could be the one of the big trades for this year.
Yeah, I think one of my picks, right, my pick actually for the week is SOFI, and I didn't even know about this news. So maybe I should have done a bit more due diligence. I've just looked at the chart, of course, but yeah, we'll see how that kind of performs a little bit later on. But we'll move on to the next slide for now. Obviously, as we mentioned slightly, we've got earnings kind of coming up. Nothing really going on this week, but you can see the start of the banks are coming in, aren't they, Kay?
Yeah. So banks generally are, followed by the big tech, especially Netflix and Microsoft and those guys. So Amazon might be 2 or 3 weeks away from here.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll see what happens there. I think Tesla's probably the first big name, isn't it? Netflix and Tesla are normally the first ones out. First one's out
Correct.
the gate. So that's probably
Yeah.
next week, I imagine. Okay, let's jump into the first charts today. But before we do that, we'll get the thing up on the screen here. Put your ticker request in the comments. As I mentioned, we've had a few already, but we always need more. So why not, put them in the comments now while you're here, whether you're on YouTube or X. We do appreciate it, of course. Right, let's move on from there. On the screen here, we've got SPY Daily on the left, QQQ Weekly on the right. So we're not quite at all-time highs for the QQQs, but we are getting a bit of a signal here on the weekly chart, a bit of a push out there of the wedge that I've kind of drawn roughly thereabouts. But you can see that's a really nice push out, not only because it's a push out of the trend line, or wedge, should we say. We've got support there of 619 that's just been bounced off of from a trend-based Fibonacci extension point of view. And of course, the kind of volume profile on the right side there is 620. So currently sitting at 626. I'm looking for a move to kind of towards at least 640 to see if we can kind of push through that double top. Alternatively, on the left side, we've got SPY Daily, which has already kind of done that. It's going to push through the all-time highs and it's making higher moves. What are your thoughts on these two charts, Kay?
Well, I think I would rather take a step back and look at a more broader view here. So there's not much to say on the SPY, right? Trend is your friend. That's pretty much it. Now, question really arises is what is the general feeling about where we are heading? So depending on who you hear or what you read, uh, there's a lot of consensus that you may see a pullback uh, at the end of the first quarter. There are folks claiming that we might see a 10 to 20% drawdown by second quarter, and then it's going to be a rinse and repeat. I think it really depends. There are a lot of events that are going to happen, right? Because this is also an election year. So, and it's going to be a very consequential election year. If the Republicans lose the House majority, then it is a big impact on the administration. But if they keep it, then that gives them another 2 years, going into the big election for the general. So a lot of things to happen. All these are predictions, and we will just take it week by week. But as of right now, I mean, I don't see why I would be negative. Earning season is going to kick it off next week. We'll start to see big tech reporting earnings. We'll see some major player reporting earnings. As long as their future guidance, stays aligned on the growth path, I think we have nothing to fear. But any concerns about the future of the growth of the company or the revenue, I think we will. And you don't want to see that from the big ones like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, all these. Tesla, by the way, has a different problem we can touch upon later.
So from a news point of view, I want to get into a bit of a discussion here. So obviously, news aside, with your come to kind of your trading, do you trade based off of the kind of what you see in front of you with the chart side of thing, or with the fundamental side of thing, or do you actually anticipate news events for the future? Because for me personally, I'll jump into it first to give you a little bit more time to think about it. I've just thrown this at you.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, I'm just kind of looking at the charts essentially, and seeing what the setups are like, and then I'll have a look at the fundamentals to see if the company's moving in the right direction, etc. And kind of base my move off of that with swing trades at least, of course. Day trades are slightly different because it's smaller time frames. It's basically mainly technical for me. But yeah, what's your take on this discussion?
So it depends on the type of the trade, right? If it's a weekly trade, or if I'm selling options on a weekly basis, I really go just by the chart. But if I'm going to get into a swing trade, I will actually look at the fundamentals, and I'm going to look at the events that are lining up, because end of the day, those events are going to trigger certain actions, whether it's on the chart or not, right? And fundamentals are going to be the supporting evidence why it will happen. So for example, let's say, a company reports some sort of a merger or an act. So let's take Netflix for example. If Netflix, the reason Netflix stock has got shellacked, the two reasons, not just because of they raised a bid to acquire Warner Brothers. It's also in line. Every time a stock gets split, you will see after the split, the stock generally declines.
Yeah,
And it takes a while for the stock to stabilize and then start to make a move up. So that generally ends up aligning with whether you see Nvidia did the same thing, you had with the Tesla, that had the same thing, Apple, it had the same thing. So this is across the board, even with Amazon had the. So this is a general, and then on top of it you had the net. So if the event, if they win the bid, right, and they end up keeping the Warner Brothers, whatever they applied for, you might end up getting a stock appreciation on that,
mm,
right? Because right now the stock is pretty much hit because that, hey, they will have to do a lot of capex, or they will have to spend a lot of money to acquire these licenses. So that's another thing. So depending on the time frame of the trade, if so, long story short, if it's a weekly trade, I'll just go by the chart. But if it's like a swing trade, or even if I'm going a month, 2 month out for the selling option, I would actually look at not just the chart, but what are the events coming up, and earnings, which will be covered in the events, and the fundamentals.
yeah, I like that. I think it's good to have that kind of chart and fundamental look, but also having a kind of second thought on what might be coming up for that particular company or ETF. Sometimes these industries can move with certain types of news. You mentioned earlier with the kind of banks that might potentially get hit in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, just have that kind of in your arsenal and your kind of thoughts into the distance, of course. Okay, we'll get back into the stream then. We get that on the screen there. Do you have any thoughts on the chart itself, or should we move on?
I think we're good with this one for
Yeah.
now.
There's nothing to show for it just yet, but I've picked SoFi this week, and Kaye has picked Reddit. So we'll see what happens this time next week when we see who's won, basically. So fresh year, fresh chart, fresh scoreboard. But what have you got going on, Kaye? I know you've got a few things lined up.
Well, I do have my 2026 picks, which I'm about to publish next week. So that's going to be, you already know two of those, which we covered over here, but there'll be couple other picks that I think needs an attention as well. So that will be published as well, and you'll be able to know what those are.
Yeah, and so obviously you can get InvestK there at InvestK, sorry, on X, YouTube, and Substack there, as you can see with the little icons. For me, at the moment, I'm releasing videos every week on YouTube around trading, at least until the end of January. Then it will calm down slightly, of course. You've got to play with the algorithm. And also, I kind of wanted to get that kind of content out there ready for kind of 2026 and the months ahead that we've got coming on. And obviously, you can follow me on X as well. So I post. I used to post daily, but I'm not so good with my posts at the moment. But there's whenever I do post, it's quality post in my opinion, of course. But I would be that biased, wouldn't I? We'll move on then to my pick of the week, which is actually SoFi. Now, but I didn't know this potential hit that could take place for SoFi in the next couple of weeks and banks in general. So I'm playing this based on the technical analysis only.
Mhm.
So you can see on the left side there, long-term support, volume profile, and EMA cloud. That's my confluence. That's what I'm thinking for. If we can get a clean break of this trend line to the upside, I'll be looking for obviously a price target of about 32, which is about 15 to 20% roughly from the break, depending where the break happens. The reason I've drawn a line through these candles is very simple. You may or may not know this already, viewers, but these two are not clear breaks. We've had a candle that's closed outside, but the following candle hasn't broken this. The following candle subsequently came back down. And likewise with this one as well. The candle came out, next candle came back down. So they're not breaks of a trend line, in my opinion. And when I'm looking for swing trades, I want to see a clean break for sure, especially with the smaller stocks as well. The bigger stocks is not so bad because they don't move as much, but definitely with the smaller stocks. What are your thoughts on SOFI, Kaye, apart from the obvious one?
So before I give you my thoughts, so you're talking about clean break and the retest on the trend line and then move.
Yeah. So yeah, I forgot about the retest. Yeah, my normal my strategy is to come out, retest near enough down here, and then make a move higher. So
Got it. Okay. So I mean, honestly, looking at the SoFi chart on my side, it's basically hugging the between the 20 and 50 SMA, and I think that is a pretty strong area for support, unless we had these external factors that were unaccounted for. This would be actually the point of control where majority of the trading is happening. So either whether it's on the upside or the downside, once we have a break, you will see, to the upside, you will probably see all-time highs, or you will start to see the decline of the stock if it breaks to the downside. This is where this range is where the majority of the trading is happening, between the 20 and the 50 SMA.
Yeah, I think it's important to say none of us are in the trade as such, the trade part of this, but I will be waiting patiently for a break to the upside or to downside, as Kaye just mentioned. And obviously, with that news coming up potentially in the next couple of weeks, that could be a good kind of catalyst to potentially enter the trade, depending on what happens with that, with the results there. But yeah, so far is my pick for the week. We'll see how that performs for the week ahead. We'll move on to Kaye's pick of the week, and we do have Reddit, which I think is the first for you, is it not?
Yeah, it's the first one for me because I know you have covered Reddit before. And something interesting, came up. Let me actually pull up the chart because I think Wolf's image is kind of blocking my talking
I can
point.
take that off for a bit. I'll take it
That,
off for a bit.
oh yeah, if you can do that, that'll be great.
Sorry, Wolf.
So,
there we go.
So if you notice on the Reddit stock per se, this stock, this is not a trade for next week. This is there are certain conditions that have to be met before you enter the trade, and at what point you want to enter what levels you want to enter the trade. So starting with on the left hand side, our first decline, that major decline, came was a 64% drop from the highs, and then we had a 264% run on this stock from the lows. So what that shows that this stock moves at that pace, which means that if you see a major pullback and then the run up will happen. So this stock has made a lot of money for a lot of people, honestly. And then I have mostly been sleeping on this stock for a while. The latest one that I think is, we had this major, if you look at the last candle for Friday, this was a major candle, major sell off. Now I don't know why they have been selling off, but this was a major sell off. And then we had this nice little support level, which was the previous highs. It gives you that support. So this white line, and I'm forgetting let me see if I can tell you the exact level for this one. 1 second, I have it here. It is about, it's not on my screenshot either. Hold on. I have to open the chart. It is at 240, right? So 240, 241 is where your previous highs are. So that is our support. That is the key. If that breaks, then I would like to see it actually goes and towards a 200-day and 300 SMA. And where I'm really looking to add is at those levels, not at that level, because we are already very close to the all-time highs. And I do not want to add stock because there is no upside. But if we actually see a decline in Reddit and it comes down to fill that gap, then there is a very, very good opportunity. Because if you go back and see, when we had a 64% drop, it actually filled the gap last time. So generally, when you have a gap up, at least in the last instances, we have seen it filling the gap before making a move higher. So I wanted to fill that gap, which comes right around 200 to 300 SMA. That's where I'll start to get interested into getting into this trade. Looking at some fundamental points, revenue increase quarter over quarter, positive net flow, positive free cash flow, and steady increase in the engagement, whether in the US side or the global side. So, very strong fundamentals. But this is a good opportunity that needs to present itself. So, it's not for next week.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think the actual platform itself, I've never got on with it myself, but I know people really, really like it. But coming back down to these two moving averages here, as you mentioned, is that the 200 and the 300 we've
Yep.
got down here?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming down to them would be really, really key. But I think there's quite a lot of support at these levels, because if you drew a line from these lows just here where my cursor is, all the way up through the lows that we've got on the screen here, we're kind of at that level, and we saw a bit of reaction now on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even for a kind of a shorter term trade, maybe a potentially leveraged trade, you could, if Monday is a nice day, not like a really nice day, but like a flat day, you could say it's a confirmed kind of hold of support, and then you could enter the trade thereabouts and have the kind of stop loss just below this Friday's wick. That way, if it was to kind of go against you, you wouldn't lose much money, but
Yeah.
you do have a potential upside of obviously new all-time highs, as you kind of briefly mentioned earlier. But yeah, for the longer term, I'm with you. I think waiting to see if it does break, especially with, I'm assuming earnings come up in 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. Waiting for those, even 200 is not too bad, because you've got all this support here on the left side, thereabouts. I reckon that's probably about 200.
Yeah.
So that would be a good, aim for kind of a higher low, if that makes sense.
This swing trade is more asymmetrical trade that I'm looking, where I'm trying to get it to repeat itself. Now, history
Right.
doesn't mean it will repeat itself, but that's what I'm aiming. Otherwise, I'm not interested in getting into it at 244 and going for 275. That's not the trade that I want to get. But I want to get at 170 and then go back to all-time highs.
Yeah.
The trade I'm looking at.
Yeah, so you're looking for a longer term trade. I'm looking for a bit of a shorter term trade there. I
Exactly.
think that's but I'm very happy to see both that, and I think that's why we do these live streams, obviously for perspectives on the charts. No, I think that's a really cool pick. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. We do have a couple of comments that have come in. A few more. What have we got? A few more tickers that have done. Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, we got a lot of tickers.
Yeah.
And then we have another comment from Traumatic Bro. Love the Fear and Greed Index Max. Yeah, it's actually available on the CNN website. It's a Fear and Greed. If you go there, you'll see that. We just take the screenshot from there.
I always just search Fear and Greed CNN on
Yeah,
Google.
and
It comes
you'll
up.
find that there. Yeah.
Yeah, comes up nicely. Oh, awesome. A couple of good picks there. I've got SOFI, Kaye's got Reddit. We'll see how those get on. Make sure you come back to us this time next week, so 1 p.m. Eastern time, to see who won the first week. Even though the picks are, for kind of, months ahead, sometimes weeks ahead, but we do like to kind of have that little bit of tongue-in-cheek competition weekly.
Absolutely. That's the fun part, right? That keeps us going.
Exactly right. Right, let's get the charts up and running.
The
And see
first
what we've
picker
got.
is actually one of your yearly picks, which is Grab.
Okay. Yeah, we're not looking good at the moment in terms of technical thing, but we'll jump into that now once that's loaded. There we go.
The funny thing is, even though it's not looking good, what I'm noticing at least, it has this nice little support, and it keeps bouncing from this 484 level. But yeah, go ahead.
So I think I checked this yesterday, and it looks like it's kind of faltering from its upwards channel. Let's jump into the weekly. It might be a bit. I mean, the daily you can see already it's not looking great. You've got lows potentially broken here. It's rejected off of all three moving averages, and it's that's kind of it really. But then if we go to the weekly chart, again, it's rejected off of all three moving averages, including the 200 moving average, which is this red line flowing through here. Yeah, not looking good from a technical point of view. Can it return back up to these sorts of area? Absolutely, it can. It needs to produce itself a very good earnings report. Looks like that's due middle of February.
Yeah,
that's the vertical line there. But yeah, my target, still remains kind of 750, as you can see on the screen there, for the year. But there's 51 weeks left, so 52 weeks.
And I also feel like that depending on your cost basis, I think if you believe in the trade, or if you believe in the thesis, these are times when you should accumulate.
Exactly right. Yeah, and I've been picking up shares here and there. They're not that expensive shares either, so it's not too bad. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Grab long term.
Okay, next one is Datadog.
Datadog, I haven't seen this one for ages.
Yes, let's see if there's any news on Datadog.
Oof. Last 2 days, not so good. Got a comment here from Angela. Hi guys, getting all balled up on this breakout. This should be an exciting week. Yeah, breakout from the QQQ and the SPY, which we touched on earlier. Kaye, have you frozen or have you just thinking for a long time?
No, I was just thinking we had Datadog for a second. So Datadog got an upgrade on no, that was like last month, so December 5. So not much going on in the news section for Datadog.
From
Yeah,
a technical point of view, it's not looking good either.
yeah. So the earnings are going to be mid-February. I mean, analysts are expecting they're going to beat everything across the board. So interesting.
I mean, they tend to beat quite a lot. So if you can see at the bottom there, all the shields, the green shields, that's all the earnings reports. They've all been green.
Listen, I mean, see, from a revenue standpoint, growing year over year, the net income is actually, I think they got a hit on the net income, because quarter one 2025 the net income was 24.6 million, and it dipped to Q2 2025 to 2.65 million. So that was a big drop. And then it went up to 33.89 million. So seems like the it's not like a steady increase of net income. It's like there's a lot of ebbs and flows here. And that could have been because of capex. I'm not following Datadog, or they did some sort of an acquisition. Same thing happened with the free cash flow. We saw a dip, and the same thing happened with the EPS. Their debt has actually gone up from $0 at the end of 2024 to now almost $1 billion in debt, 970 980 million debt. So that's interesting.
So in terms of downside targets, we're looking at the gap fills, I imagine. So we've got 111 here, and then down here, kind of 92-ish. So if that's to continue, then they're the targets I'd be looking at for sure. I don't trade this stock, probably won't. Just not in my comfort zone in terms of trading, so I'll leave that one. But do you ever trade this name?
Yeah, I used to trade this a long time. I think mostly in 2024. If you still remember that comment, like I still remember that guy's comment on your when we posted Datadog. He was like, "Oh, when the long trend line was broken and we had that decline, right? This was back in December of 2024 when we had that decline, because it broke the long trend line. I'm like, man, this doesn't look good. And then we fell all the way to $81 by
Oh yeah.
April of 2025. And then we saw a nice run up. I think right now I wouldn't recommend getting into it. You want to see how it plays out, because it's making lower highs, and it's a very very steep downtrend. Because end of the day, so unless you know how Datadog does and all that, the key again is everybody is launching AI features. Question is, are they able to monetize it? And that is what the next earnings report we should be focusing on.
Yeah, and even on the weekly chart here, the 200 moving average is at about 119, but you can see it hasn't really respected the 200 moving average in the past, so there's no reason to think that it will this time. So just be
Exactly.
careful of that kind of data. Okay, we'll move on. But you did, I think we skipped Grab. We
Did
skipped New and Palantir.
yes, absolutely. So we'll go back to ManRamp is NU. Yeah, I think the screen moved up a little bit, so that's why.
Right, so New Holdings. I think this is a bank from South America, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's a fintech.
Seems to just kind of plug up nicely, doesn't it? We had a bit of a dip here in the middle parts of last year, but since then, kind of really nicely moved up, kind of within the channel. Get rid of these lines temporarily. yeah, it's lower, higher lows and higher highs. So can't really complain with that. Don't really know what else to say. A bit of support here, maybe. Come back down and retest it, but we've kind of already done that there, and then almost again here. So yeah, I mean, this is the weekly time frame. We jump down into the daily time frame.
Trend channel.
Got a
Yeah,
gap there that could be filled.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think if long term, if we do get a bit of a drawdown, coming back down to this kind of $15 level, I think would be quite key, because by the time that would happen, the 200 moving average will come in to that sort of area. So that could be a good point to add for long term holders. But in terms of short term trading, I wouldn't touch this right now for sure.
Exactly. I think, and if you actually use a Bollinger Band, you will notice that it is still above that the median price, right? So 1688 is where the median price is, the basis band. So you want to acquire the stock, buy the stock at least at that middle band or the below, right? So great if you hold it, keep holding it. It's a nice uptrend, but definitely not to be added at this point in time or go heavy
Mhm.
on this one. Next up is the most difficult stock to trade, Palantir. At least both Sean and I, we struggle, trading Palantir.
Yeah, we had a discussion off stream just before we went live today, and Kaye was mentioning how it's very difficult to trade in Palantir, and I said, yeah, I gave up months ago, well, probably years ago, to be fair, because you can see even with the price action on the screen here now, we haven't moved, price wise, we haven't moved since August of last year. So it's been really choppy in that sort of time as well. So you've got big days go from 181 to kind of 167. So that's a good 10% almost drop down in one day. So it's hard to trade this. Maybe you can trade it on the smaller time frames, like even 5, 10, 15-minute trades. I'm sure there's plenty of volume to do so, and that's probably what people do. But it's just not what I do. I prefer to, with smaller stocks, I prefer to swing them, swing trade with them. With the bigger stocks, I tend to day trade them, like Google, Tesla, all the big names, Amazon, etc., alongside the SPY and QQQ, of course. But yeah,
Because
what's difficult for you then on this
so
with this?
it is the move actually, and the reason is because it was much easier to trade Palantir when it was in the tens and 20s and 30s, is because everybody was playing for that thesis. Now the thesis is already played out. So it had that major run up. Now the fundamentals are still not matching, because I know that the bulls will say, well, is the next next best thing to sliced bread. I don't know. And for me personally, the issue is I mean, it's range bound. I can swing it, but the problem is it's there's too much swing in this stock at these levels. Now again, I don't do day trade or I don't do scalping, so that's the problem. I can probably scalp this if I go small time frames.
I'll tell you what is impressive though.
Yeah.
How Let's go back to the daily time frame. Sorry, the weekly time frame. What is impressive is, yes, it's made all these moves, and the fundamentals have kind of held it there, and the kind of PE ratio has gone up really high, and it's kind of stayed there. Of course, that's kind of balancing out slightly with the more money they make. But yeah, I think that to hold these sorts of levels after that move, I think is really impressive, and I think that's what investors should be really, really pleased about. And one of my best friends, he holds this stock as one of his biggest positions, and he's still holding it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even I, like last, maybe even a year ago, so somewhere down here, I was thinking, oh, why don't you just sell, half of it? So, I'm like, I like to try and take profits here and there when I can. And he's like, no, no, I won't bother. I'll just keep it. And that's a testament to him. That's fair enough. If you know and like the company and see where it's going for the future, then by all means hold it. But there's no shame in taking profits, in my opinion. I'm not saying take the whole position. I'm just saying 10, 20%. But yeah, just really, really impressive growth from Palantir in the last few years. Really wish I held on to it.
Listen, I think we can probably end this with this last comment, right? Bottom line is, if you have made money on this, and doesn't matter what anybody's saying, make sure you don't lose that money,
Yeah.
because the psychological aspect is, let's say you are up 500% on your, and when it dips to 400%, you're like, oh no, we're going to go back, because it may end up tying up your cash for a much longer duration next time before the next leg up. It could happen, right? Because this has happened before. It's not like Palantir is a unique stock. Most
Mm.
of these stocks are like that, right? It always is, it's cyclical, right? This happens. So I mean, I took 500% off. Not that, it was a lot of shares, but I did take 500. It was 500% for me. Was 22, 23 was cost basis, and I got out like over a little over $100.
That's how we grow accounts. We take profits and keep the losses minimal.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I knew that keeping that is not gonna be substantial enough for me to make a life-changing portfolio move. But for some people, there is. So I totally get why they want to hold it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, okay, we'll move on from Palantir. What we've got next?
Oh, we have CoreWeave. And the funny
Core
thing is,
Weave.
I
You like this
completely
one, don't you?
messed up because I went on Datadog, which was the second one, but then I missed the CoreWeave. So CoreWeave, yes.
I bought this recently.
Oh, you bought it.
You'll be happy to know, yeah. Just for the longer term, my stop loss is down below, obviously, the lows of this stock, so somewhere around 63. I don't know the actual numbers on my phone, but
It's very interesting. I mean, there are. I was looking at it. Nvidia has in their investment portfolio, they have almost 75% of their portfolio allocation is to CoreWeave, and I really don't. I really think there's a very good chance
they
that
buy
down
them.
the road Nvidia buys CoreWeave.
Yeah.
And
And
go ahead.
what do you think will happen to the stock if they get bought? I mean, is there any past examples of that?
I mean, I'm assuming that they will probably change to Nvidia stock. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I don't remember holding stocks like this when they got bought out. Maybe somebody on the audience can tell us if they have held stocks like these. My assumption is if Nvidia buys it, you'll probably get Nvidia stocks based on the weightage, I guess, how they assign those stocks. Like, how much how many stocks of CoreWeave is worth one Nvidia stock, for example. So let's say 10. So you might get 10 to 1. So you get one stock of Nvidia over 10 CoreWeave stocks. Just an example. I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see for sure. But jumping into the chart then, while we're here on the daily chart, we've got
Go ahead.
so yeah, we've got relative strength doing really well, coming back up to the 50s, but also with a bit of a downtrend coming here on the smaller, the last basically 4 or 5 weeks. So expecting a breakout for sure, especially with momentum increasing. What were you going to say on the chart here?
No, I was thinking from more fundamental standpoint, because with Nvidia backing almost 70-80%, because CoreWeave's financials are not great,
Hmm.
right? Because they take a lot of debt, especially for building data center. And if you are bullish on the AI data center play, I know that CoreWeave doesn't get the same love from the retail community, but keep them on the sidelines. Bottom line is Nvidia is actually backing it. I see no reason for it to fail as long as Nvidia is backing it. I could be
Yeah,
wrong, but I don't see how Nvidia is going to lose 76% or 75% of its portfolio value by making this company lose.
which, if it does kind of falter and the fundamentals don't perform so well, then that's a good time for them to kind of take it on.
Exactly. And now you think about it. Now they are totally vertically integrated. So not
Mm.
only they own the chips, the racks, the cooling system, the wires, they also own all those contracts with all those big players. Now, no, it's all speculation, but I really think that 75% backing says the conviction they have.
Yeah, and I like it from a technical point of view as well. Having this bit of a basing kind of going on here, which is why I entered. I've forgotten my entry price. I think it was somewhere back here, to be fair. Or maybe no, it must have been from the double bounce. So it must be somewhere here. I think I'm slightly red on it, so yeah, I think it's right about here somewhere. That doesn't matter. But the long term view on this is to obviously break this trend line to the upside, and come
Exactly.
back to kind of 130, 140. But yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see how that kind of matures. But thank
Okay.
you for your suggestions there, man.
Next,
Ramp. Oh, we've got one more, haven't we?
yeah, APH. I don't think I know this one. Let me see what they do.
We have looked at it before because I've got a line on here, 2 lines actually.
Let's see.
$140. Yeah, that's earnings there. Traded flat since earnings, which is nice.
Yeah, they design, manufacture, and markets electrical, electronic, and fiber optic connectors in the US, China, and internationally. I just don't understand their English here. You say they connectors in the USA, China, and internationally. I mean, you can just say internationally, right? It's just does the same thing.
That happens quite a lot, though, doesn't it? I've read a lot of descriptions that just mention the entire world and then saying internationally. Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
either you mention regions like North America, EMEA, APAC, then it makes sense. But anyways,
ManRam, I really appreciate you bringing this up because I really like it. I know it's a bit excessive for me to say so early, but I will have to do a little bit more detailed analysis into this. But if we can get a break to the upside, come back down and retest, let's draw that out temporarily. So if we can get a break to the upside here, come back down, retest, and move higher. I know why I want to put my stop loss, and that is pretty much just below this line here. So if we enter there, stop loss there, target somewhere up here. Again, like I say, I'd have to do more research in terms of target profit zones. I'd start using trend-based Fibonacci's. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit of analysis and post it on my X channel. So if you are, wanting
dude,
a little bit extra, but yeah,
you will be impressed to hear this. They
okay,
increased their free cash flow by $1 billion in 1 quarter.
that's pretty impressive. Yeah. But it hasn't reflected in the price though either, really, because the earnings report
Dude,
here.
yeah, I mean
Nothing's
these are
moved.
fundamentals we are looking at. Like their revenue was 18.82 billion in quarter 2. It jumped up to 20.97 billion, so almost $21 billion. And that is reflected in their free cash flow, and their net income went from 3.1 to 3.82.
Wow. Yeah, I
And
mean that's incredible, isn't it?
incredible, and they also paid dividends. So it's very interesting. Like, I'm gonna add it in my watch list as well.
It's UK based as well. Man says.
Oh, it's UK based. Ah,
Yeah, but yeah, like you, I'm going to put this on my watch list. Probably again because we have looked at this before. I'm not too sure how or why. I don't remember the name, but anyway, yeah, that's really good. Higher lows kind of going into the break here as well, which is what I mentioned before. Well, I didn't mention before, but I want to mention now, and also the positive reaction around the kind of moving averages here we see. So just a few extra points I want to stick in there before we move on.
okay. Next one, we got a comment on the Twitter side. It's PayPal.
PayPal. Oh my, I haven't heard this stuff for a while. It's been in the toilet for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I gave up on PayPal.
Is it dead?
I'm
PayPal dead?
not gonna fight a losing battle here. I mean, I
Oh.
know that there are folks who love PayPal. Man, it's like I just moved on.
I mean, I still use PayPal every now and then, but it's not my main port of
It's
call. That's for
alive.
sure.
It's alive.
It's alive, yeah. The stock isn't. But you can see, yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? We're breaking even this trend line here to the downside again.
You know, in the fintech space, I'm just going to take a little bit, I'm just going to go off topic over here. In the fintech space, really, if you think about it, you have Robinhood, you have SoFi, and a couple other names. But, PayPal, XYZ, which is Block, have been in a downtrend, I don't know, for a while, couple years now. And they're just not able to catch a breather.
Yeah, it's a tough time. The monthly chart looking pretty rancid as well, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, I didn't realize that actually was one of those stocks that moved up in 2020. I didn't realize that. Back to the daily then.
Dude,
We'll
this
jump in here.
stock used to trade in $300 back in 2021. Oh my goodness.
It's gonna need something very special to pull us out of the toilet. But yeah, I'm not trading this anytime soon. That's for sure. Unless not to the upside anyway.
Nope.
Okay, let's move on then.
Oh, United Healthcare?
Are you still in this one, Kaye? You mentioned it a few
No,
months
no,
ago.
no, I got out of UNH. Now the new favorite is NVO.
Yeah, I've seen. I saw on Friday what happened.
Everybody.
Yeah,
And listen, man, I tell you, I find healthcare to be very boring, and
yeah,
it should be, and it should be boring. It's not tech. Uh, but listen, I mean, this was a ticker when you had that big drop to the 250s, 260s. That was where the trade was. Um, I mean, right now it's barcoding. If you look at it, it's still in the uptrend, but it's not like a tech stock that's just gonna, go moon and go back and fill its. Another very anecdotal examples. It's So United Healthcare in general is having a lot of problems. A lot of providers, and again, these are all anecdotal examples. So it doesn't mean that that's going to reflect, but at least all lot of providers I have spoken to, they're like, we do not take United Healthcare anymore, even though this is the biggest, because the problem is that they are having a lot of issues in the payment. Every time they file a claim, United Healthcare is just creating a lot of problems for them. But that generally is a constant complaint from providers, which providers means doctors in all the big players, whether it's Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare. But I've recently seen a lot more complaints, hearing about United Healthcare. Again, that I don't know if that has reflected over here or not, but it's just how that's what I'm hearing.
so stay away from it as well. You're.
No, not necessarily. I think it really depends on your portfolio type, right? So just because it's down and you don't know, because the point is you need to understand healthcare,
Yeah,
not just because we have a gap down and we are like, oh, we're going to fill this gap. Okay, I mean, you might end up holding this for 4 years, 5 years before you fill the gap, if you're okay with that, right? Some people's portfolio are more, conservative. They are into healthcare. They know, understand healthcare. It really depends, right? The real move was when it was down to 240 and you wanted to make that big buck.
yeah.
That was where the drop was. When CNBC was telling you not to buy, that was the time you should have been buying.
Always the way.
Everybody on CNBC, like this guy, I don't know the name of this guy. This is so funny, man. They are jokers. Like a week before, and you can probably find on YouTube, this guy was saying it's the worst stock to buy. And maybe not a week, but a month later, he's like, this is a stock to buy when it already ran from 240 to, I think, like 300 plus. And there are a lot of other, I have to give credit where it's due, a lot of other YouTubers, the retail space YouTubers, they were like, dude, this is the time you should be buying this. And they called out right. And these jokers in CNBC, man, I'm telling you, it's like, seriously.
Yeah, don't get too clouded by what people say. Have your own opinions, definitely. But that kind of plays into emotional disturbance, doesn't it? So you always think about stocks that might move, they might not move. So you look elsewhere for a bit of guidance. But yeah, just be careful when you're out there, I think. What's next, okay?
Next up is SanDisk, SNDK.
Oh, it's going well, isn't it? This is the daily chart.
This was, you remember Dave Greta on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his stock. Uh, he was the guy about SanDisk. He called it out, and he's been calling out SanDisk for a long time.
Oh, why didn't I see this?
I know, right? Crazy.
It's even just September, just what, 5 months ago? This
Yeah,
stock was sitting at $52 thereabouts, and that's $377. I mean, congratulations to people that are in this stock, or have been in for that long. That's made 600%. If you've got a leverage position or leaps from that point, then yeah.
dude.
And
If
this is
you
what we're talking about. This is what the market is about. It's
yeah,
making these moves.
if you held options, you would have made so much money on this one. Even, I mean, of course, commons also you'd make a lot of money, but just it's a leverage position, so you will make a lot more by putting less money. But it's amazing. Congratulations to everybody who made it.
Even this, so this is a trend line. So this is what we normally look for. We do this every week, well, at least more so I do with the patterns, I guess. But we look for these patterns, these wedges, and we've spoken about a couple already on the stream, I think. And we're looking for this price action here, where the candle has broken out. The following day has broken out nicely. It actually kind of gapped up overnight, but it came back down. But intraday, it came down to retest this trend line. So that is when you enter. And then obviously subsequently after that, it's gone up another $150. So they're the moves we're looking for. They're the kind of triggers we're looking for. Well, I'm looking for at least. But yeah, just be mindful of what you're looking at on the charts. Analyze these moves that have already been made is what I'm trying to say. So it's all very well doing the analysis on what might happen, but just do some analysis on what has happened as well. I think just to clarify your mind a bit.
Yeah, the only thing I will add, Ramesh, on SanDisk is search for Dave Greta on Twitter, and go read his SanDisk opinion. I think the move has already been made, so I don't know if you're going to get another move like that on time, because now you have to look at the fundamentals. So there was a reason why he was into that stock, or he was his thesis, like that thesis is already played out here. So if it has already played out and I'm looking at the fundamentals and the company is still losing money, especially in the last quarter, I don't know if I'll be comfortable. Doesn't mean it won't go up. It cannot go up. I'm just saying a lot of people already made money on this one, so be careful how you invest in this or trade.
Exactly right. Right. Should we move on?
Yeah, the last one is ONDS, and then we can cover Tesla, which I know you wanted to cover.
Yeah, we'll cover Tesla as well. Okay, so ONDS, we've got ONDS Holdings. I can't tell you what they do, but they're a $13 stock.
Dude, this is
I've heard the ticker before.
This is a drone company, right?
So that's why I've heard the ticker
It's
before.
the drone company. Let me just double check.
This is also a good example of what we've spoken about in the past. This is not a clean retest, but we don't get clean retest that often with such a smaller price stock, or more volatile stock, should we say. So this one's broken out and it's just taken off. So you can also have it that way as well. The bigger stocks, the more secure stocks, you wait for a bit of a retest. More often than not, you do wait for a retest on these stocks as well, but just be mindful that sometimes that doesn't happen. And in this case, it's a good example of it not happening. So
Yeah.
you're going to bring up what they do? Or?
Yeah, it's a drone company.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do they look good for the future? Oh, they have an investor day this week, apparently, according to Angela.
Interesting.
I do like JOBY, actually, JOBY. They always seem to be coming out with new things. I think they came out with a bit of news the week just passed as well. So
are you into the drone and the space stocks?
No. Well, I'm not into it. I've been in it. I've traded it in the past, and I've got a couple of stocks. I've got Rocket Lab, which is doing quite well at the moment. And I'm looking to get into JOBY, but it's a tricky stock to get into because it's so volatile.
Yeah.
As is this one, as you can see.
I mean, JOBY has a nice little flag, right?
Let's have a look at JOBY now, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. That's actually what we've drawn. I've obviously done some research on it recently by the looks of it. Broke out, come back down and retested, got a couple of moving averages down below. We'd like to see some volume, but it hasn't quite loaded. Don't know where the volume's gone.
But the volume is actually picking up in the last couple of days, actually. It's on the rise.
Yeah. Volume profile wise though as well, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm rejecting a bit at this level, but yeah, this could be interesting to get in at this point. But where did you put your stop loss? That's where my next question would be. Probably somewhere around below the moving averages. Obviously, the ultimate safety would be down here, but that is a 18% stop loss, and we don't really want that.
That's a big loss.
It is a big loss. We'll leave it at 7% with a potential upside of obviously 27% up to 34%. So yeah, that's a 4-to-1 ratio trade.
Look at Angela's comment on that.
Okay, I'll bring up.
ONDS is on target for a major government contract. CEO is a rock star. Yeah, I mean, never know. I mean, stocks like these I mean, come 3 weeks later, we're sitting and looking at our ONDS at $50. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, another rock star. We need another Jensen Huang in the building. So
I don't know if they have. I mean, him signing I don't know if you remember that photo where he was in Taiwan and he was signing.
Yeah, that was a peak,
I,
wasn't it?
I think that was the peak. I don't know if you can beat that, but you know, for a tech guy, not for a rock star, for a tech guy.
Yeah.
uh,
Okay, right, awesome. We'll move on to the last stock of the day then, Tesla, shall we?
oh yeah. You know
This
that
one
they are no longer the biggest EV maker in the world
is that BYD, isn't it?
as BYD, and BYD did not beat Tesla by few cars. Tesla got shellacked by BYD in the EV space.
Yeah, but the quality of the cars is nowhere
No, no,
near
forget the quality. Forget the quality. I'm talking about
quantity.
the
Yeah.
quantity. But also, if you look at it, right? I mean, Tesla. What has Tesla? Tesla recently came out and said that to give the general public the full self-driving version of the software, they need another 3 billion miles. So they went from 7 billion to 10 billion now. So your full self-driving is still not out. You still, I mean, apparently all the pricing in the Tesla stock right now is for the robo taxi to scale up. Now again, it's only 1 week with in the 2026. But hey, if Tesla can do it, then we can see the pricing in the stock. But go ahead, you wanted to talk about Tesla.
I
Don't get
did,
me
and
wrong.
that's
I'm still in trade of Tesla. I'm still trading Tesla.
so I started the trade on Thursday morning.
Okay.
Um, so
Wait,
obviously I'm in a longer term position as well, but that's not part of what I'm about to talk about. I started at Thursday morning at the base of this trend line here.
okay.
My stop loss was, I think it was about 410 off my head, something like that. I think I actually still have the position on here. Not sure. Yeah, okay, there you go. There's a position. So you can see on the screen there, I entered, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, something like that. And then, so I'm looking for a return basically to all-time highs, 500 plus, ideally. I'm looking to hold this for about 3 or 4 months. So the next earnings report, yes, I'm going to hold through earnings, which is mental, but that's what I'm here for. Every now and then, you've got to take a few risks here. But yeah, holding through earnings, looking to hold this for 3 or 4 months and see where it takes me. I will obviously move the stop loss up tighter behind this in the next couple of days to see what the reaction is around these moving averages. So if we get negative reaction and we come back down, I will leave obviously the stop loss where it was, wherever that was. Oh, there we go. What happened there? But there we go. Back where it was down here, and that's trading. It will stop out and hold his money. But I'm looking for a positive reaction to try and push through all of this resistance. If we do that, then I think it's off to the races.
From the earnings you're looking for the positive reaction.
No, just in general,
In
general
general.
price action. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
With SPY and QQQ breaking out, as people have mentioned throughout this, I think obviously Tesla will be a big part of that, as it normally is. So, yeah, kind of riding a wave. It's not a big position; it's kind of a small position within my kind of swing trading portfolio. But yeah, looking for that move, and I may add to it, but for now, I'm just going to keep it as it is. There's no point adding to,
Yeah.
in this price action, as risky as it is.
So my exit position is 520, the covered call, and I think that expires February 20th. That's the so if by February 20th the stock is 520 or above, I will sell the stock at 520. That's and
By
I don't
when? Sorry,
huh
by when
520
did you say?
520
What? Okay,
February 20th.
okay, right, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So because
that's
it's a covered call position.
not far away either, because that level you mentioned there is actually the green line you can see on the screen.
Yeah, I
So
mean
in the grand scheme of things, it's not that far away. So.
exactly. I'm happy with exiting that position because my cost basis for that was under $400, so it's gonna be over $100, $120 plus gain per stock.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I think we covered Tesla quite well there.
Yeah, that's all the tickers I have. I don't see any others. Let me see.
That rounds us off nicely as well, though, because it's the hour mark. Thereabouts. But
Yeah,
yeah, first stream of the year ticked off nicely. I think it went really well. We covered lots of different tickers there as well. Our picks of the week, SoFi and Reddit. Looking to see how they'll do this week and beyond. A couple of exciting picks. They come along with a bit of news as well, which is a bit of a shame, but that kind of happens. But thank you for popping along. Who kind of put their tickers forward. Really appreciate it. Massive thank you to Wolf as well. I think that's used a platform we couldn't do without you. You can find us on X and YouTube. You can find Kaye on Substack as well. We've got lots of content coming out in the next probably month or so, and see what happens after that. Kaye, have you got any last words for the people watching?
It's going to be an exciting week next week with CPI, PPI coming out. We'll see how things are, and then we'll probably be also getting some unemployment numbers. Those numbers will come out, so we'll see. I think now we are getting into this whole. We are coming back from vacation. Volumes are going to pick up. It's going to be an exciting 2026 for trading.
Certainly is, and we're here for it. We're here every week. We'll be back this time next week, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Next Sunday with more kind of market news and picks for the week, and your audience requests, which we always what am I trying to say? Appreciate is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure I can get the word.
We always enjoy that.
Yeah,
that's the best part.
It must be time to close the stream, and with that, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. See you later, Kaye.
Take care.